Good morning. This is Carl Dakin, and this is my Successful Funding Show. This is dual broadcast on LinkedIn and YouTube. And it's possible this week we even got it onto Supercrowd TV, but I haven't seen confirmation of that yet. But welcome to the audience worldwide who may be viewing this live. And this will also be recorded both on LinkedIn and YouTube, where if you don't happen to be able to see it live, you can go back and watch the recording. So today, my guest is Matt Walsh, who's the founder of Splish Naturals. And we're going to be talking about the fact that I'm working with Matt on field testing my new entrepreneurial intelligence system, or EIS, which is intended to enable Splish to go through a process that hopefully will lead to an investment from one or more sources from different types of investor candidates. And so we're going to get into this in some detail. So we're going to get our hands dirty. We're going to talk about different things that are going to go deep. And to start this off, uh, I'm going to throw up the slide deck first, which will help explain where we're going. And so Splish Naturals has been around for a few years. I'm going to let Matt share a little bit more information about that. But to set the stage for our conversation this morning and our focus on funding for small businesses, uh, Matt's, I will say, most impressive, biggest selling product at the moment is a rejuvenation mat. And this is a mat that you can place in a chair, so it can be used pretty much anywhere, including at work. And it has a variety of capabilities. Amongst those is what's called pulsed electromagnetic field therapy. And that's important because it is a feature that creates different positive effects on the body. We're going to talk about this very carefully because of regulatory standards. We can talk about some things it does and some things it might do. And the distinction is important because the FDA, the Federal Drug Administration, does not want you making claims that go beyond your ability to prove the efficacy, the performance of these particular products. So PEMF stands for Pulsed Electromagnetic Field Therapy. And as it's described here, it's a non-invasive wellness and medical treatment that uses low frequency electromagnetic waves to stimulate cellular repair, reduce inflammation, and relieve pain. And there are a variety of products. The first one that Splish brought out was a full size one used in spas and therapist rooms. I have one myself, which is really great every time I go too far in a hobby or something else. And the challenge that we have here from Splish's standpoint is that it needs to tell a story to customers and to investors. And if you look at the mat, you cannot see these electromagnetic waves, even though the person who is sitting on the mat is encompassed in this field. Because it's not visible, then Splish has these challenges in explaining and telling the story to everyone. So, Matt, I'm going to step out of the sharing and come back to you. And I know you believe the mat works because you've had all this time to work with the mat, your customers, different applications, and so forth. And that's great because it's all in your head and you know it works. But tell us about the challenges of trying to explain this to a potential customer or to a potential investor.
Well, first of all, the technology that's involved, that's incorporated in the mat is not new technology. This is technology that's been around for many, many years. And the pulse electromagnetic field, the far infrared heat therapy, negative ions, that's just a natural element of the earth. TENS, transcutaneous nerve stimulation. And three of the modalities, TENS, far infrared heat, and PEMF, have all been actually reviewed by the FDA and approved as methodology or um, a program that can help reduce inflammation, promote relaxation, reduce pain. And, when I set up a mat and we've traveled the country, sporting events, US Open, World Rugby Showcase, we're the official wellness partner for New York Fashion Week. We have a bank of mats set up. And when we first launched this company in 2019, we had focused on CBD topical products for athletes and spas. And then, of course, when COVID came along, it gave us actually the opportunity to rebrand to encompass a broader scope of wellness products and take a more spherical approach towards wellness. And so we've been using the mats now for about over 5 years. And we've expanded the full size mat. We've now got a Rejuva lounger, which, as you said earlier, can fit in a lounge chair or a zero gravity chair. You can lay it on the floor, you can lay it on a bed, put it on your sofa. And then we have the portable version. The portable version is become super popular. One, it's great. It's very popular among athletes because it fits under the seat in front of you when you're traveling. Second of all, it's good for corporate um, integrations, for phone banks, for people that are sitting for many, many hours in the same seat because it fits the office chair perfectly. We've also installed the portable mats in chemo infusion centers with a high degree of success and feedback from the patients who have experienced it while receiving an infusion. Um, and so, to your point, yeah, there's, you can feel the far infrared heat, can't exactly see it. As far as PEMF, I've experienced a wide range of people that have had differing experiences. Some people describe PEMF as effervescence, almost like I've had, little tiny bubbles around the skin. I've had one guy, professional football player, who got on the mat and whispered in my ear. He said it felt like little butterfly wings on his skin, and he threatened to kill me if I told his teammates. um, but over the last 5 years, we've sold, I don't know how many mats, well over 100, maybe pushing 200. Um, and we've never had a mat returned. The feedback is always incredibly positive. And we've had the good fortune to partner with two military uh, organizations, and then we've had the ability to partner with a hospital who's only, approved our products as an approved partner with the hospital system. And so these experiences and these practical applications are proving out to the extent of personal experiences versus scientific data that the mats function as we describe how they function. Obviously,
So let's,
if
let's,
it didn't work, it'd be like me selling a bottle of shampoo to somebody that didn't wash your hair. Guess what? I would never sell another bottle of shampoo.
right. Um, we're going to dive into this a little bit more, again, in the context that ultimately our goal is to raise funding
Hmm.
to allow Splish to grow, to move beyond where it's at. And before doing that, though, we do have live chat through LinkedIn. And I have with us live this morning Omar. Omar Beach is a friend and associate of mine who does his own podcast and does a variety of interesting entertainment shows. Omar, glad to have you online this morning. If anybody else has a question as we go through this, feel free to throw it into the chat. We'll be trying to answer questions and we'll go forward. But let me go back then to our slide deck and talk about how this kind of fits into what we're looking at. So um, we have basically a wellness product that creates a benefit. Some of the benefits have been mapped and registered and approved by the FDA, as Matt described. And one of the newest formats is the one that is, as Matt described it, portable, that you can put in a chair that you can use at work. So I put together this real quick slide, which shows census data that, one second, shows that about 160 to 170 million people have to sit in their chairs during work every day. And so this is a potential audience, particularly in those situations where the people in those chairs need to be in top wellness form. They may need to be in top productivity form, or they may be simply trying to deal with an ache or in their joints or something else that could be distracting them or impairing their ability to work well. So this gets then to the question of, if I'm a customer and I'm looking at this mat, thinking about buying it, customers asking themselves the question, does this work? Will it work for me? What kind of evidence can Splish offer that's going to give them that greater confidence level that this would be a good use of their money and go down that path? Now, Matt has arranged for this to qualify for HSA funding. So they're starting to get into some forms of reimbursement or health savings plans, but it's a purchase, and therefore, like any consumer, they're asking themselves, does this work? We go to the other side, and we have investors who we're going to be talking to about putting money into Splish, and they're going to be asking the question again, does this work? And at the same time, they would like to see more customers. So we get to one of these situations, which is common to a lot of startup businesses, on which comes first. Is it the customer, or is it the investor, or is it proof that the product works before you can get a customer, and then do you need the customer before you can get an investor? And these are the kinds of common challenges that businesses face during a business launch as they grow, as they try to prove to people what they have is a good product, it has value, and try to demonstrate both the potential of the company and how it fits into the marketplace. So, as I mentioned earlier, I'm now working with Matt and Splish on walking through an 8-stage process that we're calling the entrepreneurial intelligence system. And its purpose is to gain enough information that we can determine which investor candidates most align with Splish, have the greatest potential future value from the success of Splish, which structures the campaign and moves it through these different 8 stages. Right now, we're just moving from stage 1 to stage 2. In stage 1, we took all the information that was available from Splish. This is all their company documents, all their operating documents, everything off their website, interactions with customers and suppliers and so forth. And all this is put into the system so that the artificial intelligence can take this and break it down and start doing analysis on it. And then we move into stage 2, which is where we're trying to determine what resources does Splish need over the next 3 years in order to attain its goals. So with the goals being set, we then do a breakdown of anything from people to equipment to supplies to materials, so that we can come up with a capital budget. We can know how much resources we need to raise in terms of cash, but also we break it down and we're asking ourselves specifically, what are we going to use that cash for? What is the use of funds because this helps guide us in determining who are potential investor candidates, and it can greatly change how we structure the capital strategy to go after the funding and resources that are needed. So uh, right now, we're getting to the end of stage 2 in the entrepreneurial intelligence strategy, and a report's been generated and provided to Matt. And in this report, it's saying that there are chunks of money that probably should be spent to achieve the growth, achieve the goals of Splish. One would be general marketing, which is everything you would imagine, more publicity, more visibility, and so forth. A second has to go after these specific markets where Splish is getting traction, one with hospitals, one's with the military, other places where people who are working and sitting in chairs throughout the day or are dealing with recovery from a particular therapy or whatever is a very important element. And along this path, then the third question on spending money is, should we do another clinical trial? Should we work or team with a hospital or some other research group and spend money to elevate the amount of information available about the MAT, about PEMF and its other components, so that we have a better story, a stronger story to tell to both customers and to investors. So why is this important? And the importance is that there are different investor candidates for each type of use of funding. Most entrepreneurs, most common things you read about in the capital industry is they say, we're going to go to an angel investor or we're going to go to a private equity fund and we'll just get cash and we'll pay for all three of these different options: general marketing, targeted marketing, and clinical studies. But the fact of the matter is that it's hard to get an angel investor on board or a private equity investor on board until you have more proof, more sales, more profits, more runway. And at the same time, there are different types of investors, some who will put money into general marketing, some who may put money into a niche marketing campaign, and some who would put money into doing clinical studies. And these are different people with different motivations, different reasons for doing this. And part of what we're trying to do in the entrepreneurial intelligence system is we are trying to make sure that we know who all the investor candidates are, who is most likely to invest, why they would invest, and what we would need to share with them in the form of a story, in the form of an investment opportunity that would cause them to make their resources available to Splish to move this whole thing forward. So going back to Matt, who just received the report yesterday. And so this is one of the things that is important, no matter how much you want to kind of hand the keys to an artificial intelligence, how much it would be nice to delegate some of this. It still comes down to decision making by the ownership, by the management team of a company on which way they want to go. The current suggested capital campaign is to raise $1.5 million over the next 3 years, with a big chunk going into the areas that I discussed and a couple other ones. But because it may not be possible to raise all that money at once, and certain things might need priority or go first, so to speak. And this is kind of the chicken or egg question for Matt that he's considering right now is, would it make sense for the first money in the door or to go after the first money to do the clinical trials so that you have that additional information to aid in sales and other investors to bring them on board? Or would putting the money into a targeted sale be a better choice, or could we have the best of both worlds and get money for both? And so, Matt, I'm just throwing this on the table for you, not to get an answer today, But this is the kind of challenge that entrepreneurs face all the time.
So, I like the idea of being able to do a clinical trial because then we get to own the data and the outcome. I think that initially there's got to be a multi-prong approach to how we would spend our capital. In part one, I think we have proven out the efficacy of the mats in through practical applications. No, I don't have the scientific data. I just have feedback from those that have used it, whether you're a professional athlete, a dental hygienist, a radar operator, a phone bank operator, and or a pickleball player. We've gotten a lot of very positive feedback. So I think, initially, I think I would almost look at the approach three prong, depending on the level of capital we're able to bring in. Yes, let's go on the hunt to see if we can launch a study. But I think at the same time, because we are making sales, being able to continue to manufacture our products, um, and have them ready for, because our sales have gone from just selling one mat at a time to 15 to 20 mats at a time. And of course, that requires stock. And then, of course, promotion, being able to market through strategic channels, whether it's social media, LinkedIn, whether it's maybe targeted print through industry magazines where we're either already have our mats or where we intend to, and promote the benefits for corporate wellness, um, et cetera. And so, I think, circling back, yes, I like the idea of doing a study just because of what I said. We own the data and the outcome. And, but at the same time, we need to keep pushing the business forward because the business is already moving forward without a study. And we don't want to miss out on sales because we've put all our money into this basket and didn't spend money enough to keep a backstock of products. And I think another differentiating factor of Splish with other companies in our space, and we like to call it the ecosystem. And what that means is that we don't sell just mats. Okay, mat companies sell mats, but we also still sell CBD topical products. We sell red light therapy products. We've just launched a whole new product line. It's one of the fastest growing emerging wellness terahertz technology. So again, as I said earlier in our conversation, instead of focusing on just one channel of wellness, we are taking a spherical approach and always looking at what's the next technology that's going to help, non-invasive, all natural technology that's going to help improve the quality of life, whether it's, red light therapy wraps for the knees or different terahertz wands, et cetera. Um, so my logical brain says, we'll share the money across different areas where we know we're going to benefit.
Yeah, and this is one of the points that I wanted to make today, that all too often you'll see people considering starting their own business. And I also I teach I teach courses at the University of Denver on finance. And everything you see in finance, whether it's in the media or in education or somewhere else, uh, is it's virtually impossible to communicate the complexity of what's going on. There is no focus where we're going to do just one thing. You're always splitting responsibilities and funding and focus. It's a daily juggling thing, to say, because you can't do one and ignore the other. They all have to be thought about. They all are integrated. It's a constant decision-making process. And part of the problem then, when you go to raise funding, is you've brought in a brand new audience of people who need to hear a story that's tailored to each of them, which just raises the complexity above the operation of the business to another level. It's part of the reason I created the entrepreneur intelligence system that uses AI because AI gives you the capability of kind of dragging this massive amount of complexity and dealing with it. Something that's a challenging thing where I get up every morning, I look at a couple dozen projects and I have to ask myself, well, what are you working on today? What are you working on 10 minutes from now? What are you doing later this afternoon? Splish, as Matt has described it, they've got traction, they're moving forward, they've got sales. You can't just set those aside or set them down and say, I'll come back to them later. You've got to go, we've got to push forward on that. At the same time, it would be nice to have some more data to support this, something you could point to that's third-party objective, more than anecdotal information that you can wave and point to and talk about for those who need that kind of reinforcement of credibility. And so going back to just for a moment here, as I said, there are different types of investors that may get involved in this. And this is an important thing that we're going to get into next. The next stage in this 8-stage process is called investor ID. And this is a stage where we look at everyone who's going to benefit from the success of Splish. We basically label them as stakeholders, and then we try to quantify, qualify the future value that they're going to receive from the success of Splish, and then we prioritize those based upon those who get the greatest benefit are the ones who are most likely to invest. They become the targets or investor candidates that we want to pursue. And that's why this is important at this stage to understand how we're going to spend the money, because it's quite possible that we might go to one group of investors who has one agenda, works with certain timeframes, looking for certain outcomes, and we could get some cash from them, while at the same time we might go to a different group who is looking at the use of PEMF in therapies, who wants to maybe already being engaged in research at a university level or elsewhere, who says, I want to do one more study. I want to show how Splish's mat works in this particular application, because it may turn out that in corporate wellness, if you give a mat to everyone who's sitting in a chair all day, that their performance, their productivity might jump 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20%. And if that's the case, what's then the ROI or payback to the employer to help their employee with their wellness while gaining back the extra productivity that comes out of that? Or maybe it's a job where it's not so much the productivity, but it's the level of attention or awareness. If you have a security guard who's watching 43 video screens, who's been sitting there for 2 hours and seen nothing, does this mat keep the body stimulated in a way where they can do better? Or we come back, as Matt talked about earlier, in a hospital setting where we've seen a variety of studies on PEMF, where they are exploring the possibility that it can be more than just a recovery. It might actually be a treatment for a specific disease, running from osteoporosis to cancer. And these are published studies, and they're still in early days, so they don't have as much information as they would like. But if Splish can team with a research group or with a particular employer, that's a different story, a different sales pitch, but it still gets resources into Splish in the same way that it would occur if they went to an angel investor or a private equity fund. So what we get to at this point is that um, um, every use of money that a company is going to raise, like Splish, might be put to different purposes. And those different purposes may elevate or lower the potential future value that an investor candidate may get from making an investment. So before we start trying to target and pick somebody out of the lineup as our next future investor, we're trying to figure out why they would care, how would they benefit, how would they be motivated to help Splish on its journey, because in their own self-interest, they're saying, well, I'm not actually making an investment in Splish. I'm making an investment in myself, where Splish is going to be the recipient of part of my resources because it's going to help me get where I want to go. And this is one of the fundamental parts of what I teach with motivated money, is that people are very rarely out there looking to give money to a business to help that business succeed solely for the purpose of seeing that business succeed. They're doing it in their own self-interest. And if you can figure out who those people are, you can figure out who's getting the most benefit from the success of that business. Those are the people you want to start talking to. And you want to be able to talk to them about them, for them, by them, everything about them. And understanding that helps you build your offering, helps you build your pitch, helps you go to the right people and use your time efficiently in looking for investor candidates. So at this point, I will be working with Matt. We're going to be going over this projected use of funds. We may decide that, if this dollar comes in first, it's going left, and if this dollar comes in, it's going right. Or if we get a particular investor candidate who says all my money is going into this study because that's where they want to go, that helps guide us in coming up with a complete rationale, a complete go-to-market, so to speak, for raising funding and doing it logically, rationally, and efficiently, which is what we have to do with our time. And so as we're doing that, though, we are going to be saying, well, if we're talking about raising up to $1.5 million, is that enough, or do we need to raise more? In the current strategy is suggesting as many as 9 different capital campaigns targeting different investor candidates over the 3 years. That's a lot of work all by itself. So we may not go down that path quite as it's originally suggested. But these are things that you've got to get figured out on the front end before you start jumping out and making pitches, before you put an offer together, before you put together your capital campaign plan. You really have to know who you're going after, what you're going to say, why they're going to care, and have a pretty good idea that they're going to respond favorably to whatever it is you're going to put on the table. So Matt and I have a lot of work to do to get through the next 6 stages in this system. But once we get the investor candidates identified and we know why they would invest and what's motivating them to invest, this actually gets a lot easier. We're kind of getting back into common things to do. But at this point, Matt, are you seeing anything that else that you think we should be talking about in raising funding? Is there another use of funds that maybe we should put into the hopper and churn up within the strategy, or what else might be on your mind?
I mean, I think that the 3 prongs that we've spoke about, I think are should be our primary focus, because it encompasses a range of, to your point, where a potential investor may want to put their funds. But at the same time, we can't forget that we still are growing a business with sales. So we're always producing the products that we need to put out. So, it's everything needs to be done in tandem. But at the same time, we may know that a study might cost X, right? I can look you in the eye and say, well, to do a reasonable backstock of products will cost Y, which may be less than what the study may end up ultimately costing. And then, of course, marketing, promotion, that would have to be very strategic, because, as we all know, marketing could quickly become into a black hole. Um, so, knowing who we're marketing to, whether is it the medical industry, is it the government, is it corporate, is it individuals, is it stay-at-home parents, et cetera, that would benefit from the technologies or topical products that we produce. So I think, it's not to say there's not a fourth, avenue to go. But I think we've touched on the three primary where we'll gain the greatest amount of traction and benefit, as will any investor who decides to, you know, step into our ring.
Yeah, so one other factor that we'll be looking at down the road when we get into the actual capital campaign planning is what's already being suggested is we may be looking at 3, 4, or 5 different types of investor groups who each have their own motivation, and putting together a capital campaign to pursue each of those uh, will have its own cost, meaning that instead of doing one campaign, we may do 3, 4, or 5.
Mhm.
And we may look at those 5 and say, well, it may be easy to do a simple angel pitch, 506c type offering to people who are interested in the fact that there is a potential military market for these mats. And because they have an affinity with it, or they're already working with it, or because they've already invested in other products which might be sold to the military as well. At the same time, though, submitting a grant proposal to a foundation that may be supporting further research on a disease or something like that may be by comparison simpler, cheaper, quicker to put together than going after an angel pitch or a private equity pitch. So this is work down the road. We'll get to that, but we want to, before we start committing dollars, committing time, and seeing if we have those dollars and time to do those campaigns, we really are trying to prioritize who's most likely to invest. Is it, can I go to a particular foundation and say, we saw these 3 studies that you are doing using PEMF. We would like to make our mats available at cost, or however we team that up for that particular project. But we'd like for you to put in the funding to pay for it, or we have to go team first with a hospital and then go to the foundation in order to bring that together. It still may be a quicker source of funding than going another route. All this is part of the complexity of raising funding. This is what I deal with every day. Fortunately for Matt, it's not something necessarily he has to deal with every day. He's got his own issues and challenges to deal with. But all in all, most entrepreneurs uh, will hear a bunch of stuff on TV. They'll watch some TV show that I will not name, and they get it in their head that this is the only way to raise money. There's only one type of investor, there's only one type of deal, and they go after it and they come away with nothing. Statistically, it's one of the worst possible maybe ways for them to raise funding, but that's all they know. What we're trying to show here and using AI and advice from raising funding and the individual knowledge and experience of the company that's trying to raise funding, bringing those 3 together, now we can get very precise and move with greater efficiency towards targeting investors who have a high motivation to make an investment of some form. It may not be cash. It may be, well, we'll do the clinical study for you, so you don't have to pay for it. Those all work as forms of investment, and we don't want to leave anything on the table that might have got moved us down the road. So more work yet to come, but we're in motion, and hopefully in a few weeks we'll be able to come back and share more information about how Splish is progressing on this. And this may be in the form of, hey, we figured out we should be talking to you as an investor candidate on this particular use of funds. And if we do that, that's because there's a high alignment. There's a reason for us to work together. It isn't like we're going to drag you off or whatever you're doing and distract you. It's kind of like we want to help you go where you want to go. We have something we can help make that happen. And if we can work together, good for both of us. So that's basically the story that we're sharing right now, trying to let people understand that there are better ways about going out raising for funding. They start with figuring out who to talk to and why you want to talk to them, but most importantly, why they would ever want to talk to you. So any last comments or anything, Matt, before you, I know you need to run and we're gonna turn things loose here a little early today.
This may sound like a silly analogy, but, being in the spa industry and working with holistic healers for over 20 years, I'll bring massage therapists and I've worked with hundreds and hundreds. I'll ask them, what made you decide to become a massage therapist? What made you decide to invest in the education, taking state boards, national boards? And the stories have always been very, very consistent. My father was in a car accident. It was massage therapy that helped him. My mother fell and broke her hip. It was massage therapy. My son, is an athlete at high school and massage therapy. And so it became personal. So through that personal experience, and that could be another target audience, individuals who have either experienced our technology themselves or know family members or friends or neighbors that have experienced it and derived the benefits. um, that could be a target audience because they see what the benefits are, and that's going, of course, before we would ever even do a clinical study. So, but anyway, I'm excited about what to get through these 6 steps and find the right investor or investors to help us, take this company to just beyond where we're at today, either on a national or international level.
Yeah, I would like to get to that 60 to 70 million people. I think that would be a good
Yeah,
goal.
yeah.
But yeah, so before we turn everybody loose today, first, V2R is my new company, which is basically the producer of the entrepreneurial intelligence system. And if you have questions or you would like to talk to me about that, please reach out to me at my email address here, Carl Dakin, kdakin@dakincapital.com. I would also like to invite everyone to come to SuperCrowd 26. This is a 3-day conference at August 25th through the 27th. It's all online. You can attend for free. We're going to be talking about investing and investment crowdfunding. And I will be doing a presentation with one of my other new things, which is a historical simulation of Benjamin Franklin. And we're going to be talking about the merits of innovation and entrepreneurship with the words of wisdom from one of my new favorite characters, Benjamin Franklin. With that, thanks everyone. This is the Successful Funding Show. We will be on again next week, where we'll be talking with another company that is working its way through the entrepreneurial intelligence system. And in this case, we're dealing with a company that is pre-revenue and technically may even be pre-launch, which is again not an uncommon situation to find themselves in, where they need money in order to open their doors and make themselves available to their customers. But all things are possible in raising funding if you can find the right investor candidates that you align with and match with. So, Matt, thanks for being on the show today. Thanks for participating in this
Yeah.
field validation of the entrepreneurial intelligence system. And we'll see everyone next week.
Thanks, Carl.